we are doing synthesis and to do page 250. Page 250, our nature must house the cosmic force. Do we have to read or have we read it?
We read it, we have to redo it.
Acha, okay. So I will read each sentence and then we'll see whether it needs discussion at all. So here goes. It is already 8 past, so we start. Our nature must house the cosmic force, but not in its lower aspect or in its rajasic or sattvic movement. It must serve the universal will, okay? The universal will, but in the light of a greater liberating knowledge. So, what is Sridhar saying? Let's have a look. Just once again. Just 1 second. I'm restarting my computer, huh? Just 1 minute. It will take 2 minutes, just 1 minute. Sorry, okay. The tablet is restarting. It's taking a little time. Yeah, now it has come. Yeah, I got it now. Okay. So our nature must house the cosmic force, but not in its lower aspect or in its rajasic or sattvic movement. Now, our nature. So what does he mean by nature? He is talking of the body-mind life. Okay. The body-mind life must be able to receive the cosmic force. But the cosmic force, there are 3 levels. Okay. Level 1 is a physical world. In fact, when the sunlight is coming, it is cosmic force, but it's at level 1. When the wind is blowing, it's also a cosmic force, but it is level 1. When the river is flowing, it is also a cosmic force, but it is level 1. Okay, that is our normal. So Sridhar is not saying that it should be a normal, not in its lower aspect, or in its rajasic or sattvic movement. Okay, not even the sattvic movement, because even the sattvic movement is level 1 at the spiritual, the physical world. Okay, it must serve the universal will, but in the light of a greater liberating knowledge. So what he is talking about is the nature must house the cosmic force at level 2. In other words, you must be subject to the cosmic consciousness. When your soul rises out of body-mind life and goes to the level 2 of the spiritual planes, if you are lucky or if it is your destiny, you will have the cosmic consciousness. You need not necessarily. When your mind becomes silent and goes to the level 2, the spiritual planes, the Brahmic consciousness or the self or the Atman, then you may see the physical world as unreal. Okay, but there are some people who who enter the cosmic consciousness. The world then is not unreal for you at all. Okay, so that's what we say. Okay? You must enter into the cosmic consciousness, and when you do that, then you are vaguely aware, not always fully aware, that the universal will is motivating you and making you act. Okay, you lose the sense of I am doing. You don't lose that. You lose the sense of I am doing. You feel very clearly that nature is making you move like a puppet. Okay, so you are not the. You are only obeying the universal will. You are not obeying your own ego. Okay? And that will give you the light of a greater liberating knowledge. Okay? So that's what he's saying here. Just 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So, there must be no egoism of any kind in the attitude of the instrument. Which is the instrument? The instrument is the body, mind, life. Okay? These are all words, and you must not get confused with the words. You must know immediately what is meaning. Okay, so the instrument is the body, mind, life. So normally, when we are in the identified with the body, mind, life or instrument, we have an ego. But when you rise to the higher level of consciousness, the identification with body, mind, life is ceased. So then there is no ego usually, at least in its grossest form. Okay, subtle instrumental ego may come, but that is much subtler. It can be dangerous also, but it is not the egoism of the level 1. Okay, so there must be no egoism of any kind in the attitude of the instrument. Even when we are fully conscious of the greatness of the force within us, okay? You know that the greatness of the force is there, and therefore you may feel, oh, I've been chosen by the divine for this greatness of the force acting through me. So that becomes the instrumental ego. That also should not be there. So they're saying, even when we are fully conscious of the greatness of the force within us, every man is knowingly or unknowingly the instrument of universal power, and apart from the inner presence, there is no such essential difference between one action and another, one kind of instrumentation and another, as would warrant the folly of an egoistic pride. So let's look at what Sridhar is saying. Every man is knowingly or unknowingly. So at level 2, you knowingly you know that you are an instrument of the divine. Ego may be there, instrumental ego may be there, but you know that it is not your force that is making your body, mind, life act, but it is the universal force that is making it act. Unknowingly is our condition. Okay, we think that we are doing everything, but it is absolutely a wrong idea. Absolutely, there it is universal force which is moving your body, your vital, and your mind. We are not the doers, and that's why when you go to level 2, the spiritual plane, one of the big realizations is that I am not the doer of action. Okay, because the ego disappears. When the ego disappears, you see clearly that it is universal nature acting through you. That's what he's saying. So knowingly and unknowingly clear. Unknowingly, level 1. Knowingly, level 2. The instrument of a universal power. And apart from the inner presence, there is no such essential difference between one action and another. One kind of instrumentation and another, as would warrant the folly of an egoistic pride. So the universal nature, universal force is acting through you. And if your Aadhar, if your body, mind, life, your Aadhar is built by nature in such a way that you are able to receive that force, or you are more intelligent than others, or you are more strong than others, or you are more skillful than others. This is nature has built your body, mind, life in that way. So it is nature, and you don't need to feel that you have any credit for that. That's what Sridhar is saying. And later on, he will explain this by saying, if the potter shapes one pot more perfectly than another, the merit lies not in the vessel, but the maker. Okay. Universal nature has given you your body, mind, life. So what are you boasting about? Okay. There's nothing. It is nature which takes the credit. Sometimes it does this, sometimes it does that. Okay. When you're a potter, when he's making pots, all the pots are not of the same color or same length or anything. They are all different. The credit is the potter's, not the pot. Okay. That's what they're saying. And the folly of an egoistic pride. When you feel that you have done something, it is absolutely folly. It's an ignorant folly. Not only ignorance, but also stupidity. Folly of an egoistic pride. The difference between knowledge and ignorance is a grace of the spirit. So, when you are at the lower level, you are in ignorance. When you are at the level 2, your knowledge, partly knowledge is there that you are not doing anything. It is the divine acting through nature in you. Okay? The breath of a divine power blows where it lists and fills today one and tomorrow another with the word or the puissance. Depending on how nature has built you, wherever you are, the divine power blows where it lists. Okay, this is very interesting. Each of us is like a pot. Okay, somebody is a round pot, somebody is a maybe a different oblong pot. Okay, somebody else maybe even built in a square way. And first is yellow, second is red, and the third is blue, let us say. Now the force which is there, universal force which is pouring into you, it takes the form of your pot. So you feel that it is a force which just takes the form of your pot. The presence is the power, and the credit is the force which is coming into you. So you have no credit. Nature has made you and your pot in different colors and different shapes. That's all the difference. So the difference between knowledge and ignorance is a grace of the spirit. The divine has made you through nature. Nature has made your Aadhar, and then the force is pouring into you. That's all. The breath of a divine power blows where it lists and fills today one and tomorrow another with a word or a puissance. The puissance, you are a man of action. With a word, you may be either a yogi or you may be a philosopher. The word and the puissance. If the potter shaped one pot more perfectly than another, the merit lies not in the vessel, but the maker. Very clear. Nice image he is giving. So that's why each of us is a pot built in a different way, with different shape and different color. The power that is motivating all of us and making us move is the same. It's the same power. Depending on how you are built, the power is using you. That's all. So credit is entirely the power of the universal power and the divine will, not yours. The attitude of our mind must not be, this is my strength, or behold God's power in me. This is my strength is level 1. Okay. Whatever we do, we feel that we have done it. Behold God's power in me, level 2, because you understand that God is motivating you. That is slightly better than the first one, but still that also can be ignorance if the ego is not gone. Behold God's power in me. But rather, what we should think, a divine power works in this mind and body, and it's the same that works in all men and in the animal, in the plant, and in the metal. Okay? In conscious and living things, and in things apparently unconscious and inanimate. We may feel that a stone has no consciousness, but it is there at a very low level. In a plant, it is there at a slightly higher level, the consciousness. At an animal level, also there are many different types of animals. Okay, so there are intelligent animals, and there are animals which are absolutely mechanically motivated by universal force. So centipede, okay, or caterpillars, okay, or worms. These are all at a very, very low level of consciousness. But the force which is activating them is the same. They are only built in a different way, and the force is entering and using you as you are built. That's exactly what's in this. This large view of the one working in all and of the whole as the equal instrument of a divine action and gradual self-expression, if it becomes our entire experience, will help to eliminate all Rajasic egoism out of us, and even the Sattvic ego sense will begin to pass away from our nature. So, when you go to the level 2 and the self, you go to the self, normally the ego disappears and you realize that you are being manipulated by a force other than yourself. And that's a great thing. So ego will already go there, but the instrumental ego may be there. But if you take this attitude that it is not my credit, but the credit of the universal force or the universal will, either of the two, then your ego will disappear. But as long as you are identified with your body, mind, life, ego can never disappear fully. It can be mitigated. Its action can be controlled by the mind and forced to remain low, like everybody does. Okay, suppose you are in a job, you are in a company, you can't start cursing your or quarreling with your co-workers, nor can you give any insult the manager. You'll be thrown out immediately. So when you're thrown out, you know that you can't do that. With your mental will, you try to control your own ego. But when you're doing sadhana, as in the ashram, for instance, okay, these rules don't apply. Okay, so you are faced with a raw ego, and you can control it here also to a certain extent. But the ego control is different from elimination of ego. Elimination of ego can occur only at the second level, and there also the instrumental ego can be there. The ego starts disappearing at level 2. That's what's in this. Now we go to the next para, the elimination of this form of ego. So somebody has to read. So maybe Sunki can read, if she is there on the line. Otherwise,
Yes, Rangada. Yes,
okay,
Rangada.
go ahead.
I will read. The elimination of this form of ego leads straight towards the true instrumental action, which is the essence of a perfect karma yoga. For while we cherish the instrumental ego, we may pretend to ourselves that we are conscious instrument of the divine, but in reality, we are trying to make of the divine Shakti an instrument of our own desires or our egoistic purpose. And even if the ego is subjected but not eliminated, we may indeed be engines of the divine work, but we shall be imperfect tools and deflect or impair the working of our mental errors, our vital distortions, or the obstinate incapacities of our physical nature. If this ego disappears, then we can truly become not only pure instruments, consciously consenting to every turn of the divine hand that moves us, but aware of our true nature, conscious portions of the one eternal and infinite, put out in herself for her works by the Supreme Shakti.
The Supreme Shakti. Yeah. So small para. So he's saying, if your ego disappears, you become aware that all the action that you are doing is not your credit, but the credit of you are being manipulated, you are being handled and moved about in the physical world by the divine will. So that's it. Ego disappears. And when you are doing that, naturally it helps the karma yoga a lot, because karma yoga is the action. And you realize that the action that you are doing is not your credit. That's what Sandhya is saying. The elimination of this form of ego. What is this form of ego? The sattvic ego. He has mentioned earlier the sattvic ego, the vital ego, and the physical ego. So this form of ego leads, elimination of that, leads straight towards the true instrumental action, which is the essence of a perfect karma yoga. Okay? But then the danger of the instrumental ego is there. So that we have to also deal with. Or while we cherish the instrumental ego, we may pretend to ourselves that we are the conscious instruments of the divine. But in reality, we are trying to make the divine Shakti an instrument of our own desires or our egoistic purpose. So, okay, the physical ego, the vital ego, and the sattvic ego is gone. But the instrumental ego is there. God is acting through me. He is not acting through everybody else. Therefore, I am special. Okay. So that's what you do. But while we cherish the instrumental ego, I am the instrument. Okay. That's great. So that's the ego. We may pretend to ourselves that we are conscious instruments of the divine, but in reality, we are trying to make the divine Shakti an instrument of our own desires or our own egoistic purpose. So when you are in that condition, you may mistake your own ego desires for the divine command. The divine is commanding me. Okay, sir. That's it. And even if the ego is subjected and not eliminated, we may indeed be engines of the divine work, but we shall be imperfect tools and deflect or impair the working by our mental errors, our vital distortions, and the obstinate incapacities of our physical nature. So what Sylvia is saying is very interesting. Again, there are gradations. In the lowest level 1, your ego thinks that you are doing everything. In level 2, the ego, gross ego has gone, and you know that you are not doing anything by yourself, but the divine working through you. But the instrumental ego, I have been chosen by the divine as an instrument. That comes in. But even if that is there, you can be an instrument of the divine in this sense. That's what's in this thing. There is a gradation. And even if the ego is subjected, okay, but not eliminated, we may indeed be engines of the divine work, okay? But the divine work through you will be imperfect. That's what they say. But we shall be imperfect tools or deflect. The divine will may be distorted in you or impair the working of our mental errors, our vital distortions, or the obstinate incapacities of the physical nature. Because instrumental ego will distort. So depending on your weaknesses, the physical weakness, the vital weakness, and the mental weakness, the divine will act only through your instrumentation. It will be imperfect. If this ego disappears, now this ego, if the instrumental ego disappears, this ego, instrumental ego, then we can truly become not only pure instruments, consciously consenting to every turn of the divine hand that moves us, but aware of our true nature. I am not body, mind, life. I am the soul, conscious portions of the one eternal and infinite, put out in herself for her works by the Supreme Shakti. So the instrument of body, mind, life now changes, and the soul becomes the instrument. When you eliminate even the instrumental, then the divine can work through you without distortion and without any perversion. That's what it is. Okay.
One question where
Yeah.
in this, when he's saying that, and even if the ego is subjected but not eliminated, subjected here what? Subjected here means what?
You know, when you subject something, you are sitting on it and controlling it. No? Suppose you say the captain can say the group members are subject to my commands. Okay. So word subject means you are under me. Okay? So the ego is not eliminated, but subjected means made less. You are under the domination of the ignorance still available at the level 2. Subjected.
Yeah.
Is it clear, Sarika?
Yeah.
Not very.
Little bit clear.
Okay. When you say, I am subject to the conditions of the world in which I live. Okay.
Yeah.
What does it mean? The conditions are limiting me.
Yeah. Conditions are higher than me.
That's right. So here also, the ego is subjected. That means with your will or it is made less, but still it is there. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You can say, I have subjected my desires by my will, but the desires have not gone, they are only suppressed. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So instead of saying subjected, we can say suppressed to a
Suppressed,
certain
yeah.
extent.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We still have about 10 minutes or so. No, even more. We have got 15 minutes. So we can read the next one. So Tarika, if you want, you can read the next one.
Yeah.
There is another greater step.
Yeah. One second.
Read.
I'll just yeah. There is another greater step to be taken after the surrender of our instrumental ego to the divine Shakti. It is not enough to know her as the one cosmic force that moves us and all creatures on the planes of mind, life, and matter. For this is the lower nature, and although the divine knowledge, light, power are there concealed and at work in the ignorance and can break partly its veil and manifest something of their true character, or descend from above and uplift these inferior workings, yet even if we realize the one in a spiritualized mind, a spiritualized life, movement, a spiritualized body consciousness, an imperfection remains in the dynamic parts. There is a stumbling response to the supreme power, a veil over the face of the divine, a constant mixture of the ignorance. It is only when we open to the divine Shakti in the truth of her force, which transcends this lower Prakriti, that we can be perfect instruments of her power and knowledge.
So in this para, he is describing the third level. Okay. So to summarize very clearly, level 1, we are identified with our body, mind, life, and we are in an ego consciousness. We think that we are doing everything, which is absolutely false. Then, with God's grace or your own effort, you go to level 2, your soul escapes from the body, mind, life and comes out of your body, and then you experience the ego has gone, and you realize that you are only being manipulated by universal forces. But the instrumental ego can be there. So the divine will is acting through you, but it is acting imperfectly. At level 1, it is a universal force that is acting through you, but it can act only through the capacities that you have in your body, mind, life. Those capacities now become less in the level 2, and your soul is open to the divine will or the universal force. Divine will is third level, universal force is second level. Okay, so then it is much better, but still you are not pure. So to become absolutely pure, even the instrumental ego has to be surrendered to the divine. Then you can climb to the level 3. And when you go to level 3, your nature, okay, becomes absolutely clear, transparent. No more haziness, no more smoky and dirty substance. Nothing is there. So the divine will can work directly through you in the physical world. Then you will truly be an instrument of the divine. That's what he's saying. We'll read each sentence. There is another greater step to be taken after the surrender of our instrumental ego to the divine Shakti. So he is using different words and different things, but what he means is exactly this, that there are 3 levels. Okay, level 1, you are in ignorance. That is in Gita's language, you are Kshara Purusha. Then in the Gita's language, second level is Akshara Purusha. You have gone to the Brahmic consciousness. You realize the physical world is not what you were, not what you were thinking it to be, and you are in a much purer consciousness. But you have no power over the body, mind, life on level 2. So that level 3, gives you the power also to change your body, mind, life and become absolutely clean and pure. So that's what he is mentioning here. It is not enough to know her as a one cosmic force that moves us and all creatures on the planes of mind, life, and matter. Which is this cosmic force? Universal force in the physical world. Okay. As I said, the wind is blowing, the river is flowing, the sunlight is coming. Universal force, but in the physical world. It is moving you, and it is moving also all the creatures, everything. Okay. In the planes of mind, life, and body, level 1. For this is lower nature. And although the divine knowledge, light, power are there, concealed, involved in matter, and at work in this ignorance, and can break partly its veil and manifest something of the true character, or descend from above and uplift these inferior workings, yet, even if we realize the one in a spiritualized mind, spiritualized life movement, spiritualized body consciousness, and imperfection remains in the dynamic parts. The dynamic parts are when you are acting. The dynamic parts are more the vital and the body. The mind also is a dynamic part, but much less than the vital and the body. There is a stumbling response to the supreme power, a veil over the face of the divine, a constant mixture of the ignorance. It's only when we open to the divine Shakti in the truth of our force. So divine Shakti very clearly, level 3. Okay. At level 2, it is still not the divine Shakti. It's the divine consciousness. Okay. But partly veiled and partly open in level 2. But in level 3, it becomes full. You have complete control over your body mind. In the truth of our force, which transcends the lower prakriti. The lower prakriti is your body mind life, and the higher prakriti is your spiritual nature. Okay. Apara prakriti and para prakriti, which are the terms used in the Gita. This lower prakriti that we can become perfect instruments of our power and knowledge. Very clear if you keep the 3 levels in your mind, which is very clearly enunciated in the Gita. In the Upanishads and all that, these 3 levels are not clearly mentioned. They are just mentioned offhand, but without any classification. But Sri Aurobindo is classifying very clearly, and the Gita also classifies very clearly. Okay, so I got 6 minutes more. So, how big is the next para? Let's see. It's quite big, but we can read it maybe. So, one more person has to read. Who is there? Who has the?
Rangada, can I read?
Yes, please do that. Not only liberate.
Not only liberation, but perfection must be the aim of the Karma Yoga. The divine works through our nature and according to our nature. If our nature is imperfect, the work also will be imperfect, mixed, inadequate. Even if it may be marred by gross errors, falsehoods, moral weaknesses, diverting influences. The work of the divine will be done in us even then, but according to our weakness, not according to the strength and purity of its source. If our works were not an integral yoga, if we sought only the liberation of the self within us, or the motionless existence of Purusha separated from Prakriti, this dynamic imperfection might not matter. Calm, untroubled, not depressed, not elated, refusing to accept the perfection or imperfection, fault or merit, sin or virtue as ours, perceiving that it is the modes of nature working in the field of her modes that makes this mixture. We could withdraw into the silence of the spirit and pure untouched witness only the workings of Prakriti. But in an integral realization, this can only be a step on the way, not our last resting place. For we aim at the divine realization not only in the immobility of the spirit, but also in the movement of nature. And this cannot be all together until we can feel the presence and power of the divine in every step, motion, figure of our activities, in every turn of our will, in every thought, feeling, and impulse. No doubt, we can feel that in essence, even in the nature of the ignorance. But it is the divine power and presence in a disguise, a diminution, an inferior figure. Ours is a greater demand that our nature shall be a power of the divine in the truth of the divine, in the light, in the force of eternal self-conscient will, in the wideness of the semi-paternal knowledge.
Now the last sentence, ours is a greater demand. Okay, ours is greater. Who is ours? Sri Aurobindo disciples and Sri Aurobindo's own yoga. Okay, that's a greater demand. Greater than what? Greater than the normal aim of yogic life in India, the liberation of the soul, level 2. So Sri Aurobindo wants level 3, complete control over body, mind, life. That's basically what he's saying. Okay, so we can just note that, and then so he's saying that we have to go liberation of the soul, and going to level 2 is fine. Okay, but that's not enough for Sri Aurobindo. You have to go even higher up and control even the body, mind, life, which is normally very, very impure and very, very untransformed. With the body, mind, life, so long you are in the body, mind, life, very difficult to do a yoga. Okay, that's what he's saying. We can stop here today because in 2 minutes we will not be able to finish the para. So we will redo this para. Not only liberation but perfection.
Dada,
Yeah, tell me.
one question I have to ask, that at this second stage, when the self-realization is there, at that time the mind is silent. So
Yes.
when we are talking about the instruments being used by the nature, so also only body and by life, or the mind also at that time? Mind also is.
Yeah, you are
So the-
asking an interesting question. You are outside the mind also. Your soul has come out of the body, out of the vital and out of the mind, and you are even looking at your mind. As I told you, I had questioned one person who was having this experience, and I asked him very clearly, "Are you having thoughts?" He said, "Thoughts are there, okay, but they are only like ripples, very small ripples on the ocean of the water. They have absolutely doesn't make any difference to the condition of the soul, which is free." So either the mind can be absolutely silent, as in the case of Sri Aurobindo, or it can be small ripples may be there, but it doesn't make any difference to the condition of the soul, which is absolutely static. Okay. So your question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understood. I understood that. I understood. That will just the experience just as an witness self, that will witness that the ripples of thoughts, the thoughts are coming, but just as ripples, but that will not affect anymore to the being. That I
That's right.
understood.
That's right.
Okay, then. Okay. Thank you, Dada.
Okay. So 8:40, we will stop here now. See you tomorrow for Live Divine. Okay.
Thank you, Rangada.
Okay.
Thank you,
au revoir.
Rangada.
Have a nice day.
Hello.